Yo ho ho, Bills Mafia. Welcome to yet another edition of the Dom Mafia Report. As always, your host, Dan Mitchell. As you know, I am an avid member of the Bills Mafia, and I regularly put out videos about the NFL and the Buffalo Bills in general. If that is your cup of tea, I highly recommend smashing the out of that like button. And as always, subscribing to this channel, baby. Yeah, wow, that was definitely rusty. And so I know that I've had a couple of week hiatus. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually working on a very, very special product for you. I know a lot of you have always DM'd me saying that you want to eventually start your own channel. You want to talk about something in the sports field, but don't know where to start. It's going to be for you. More news to come on that shortly. On today's video, I ended up having a good friend of mine, Travis from Mojo, to come on and sort of explain to us exactly what realistic early round draft picks Brandon Beane might make. And that's even including the potential of the Buffalo Bills trading up, which almost sounds blasphemous. But outside of that, thank you for tuning in and enjoy the rest of the show. As promised, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to really unpack this breaking news of the Buffalo Bills potentially moving on up and then maybe some other moves. Because let's be honest with ourselves, free agency hasn't been the sexiest this year. So let's hope that the draft makes it a bit better. I thought that there would be no better of an answer than to bring my boy Travis on to sort of help us dissect this. Travis, what's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. Just prepping everything over at Mojo with the stock market there. Just making sure we're ready for NFL draft day. Going to have our own little war room going on. Make
Really?
sure that yeah, it should be fun. I'm down in Tennessee, but actually going up to New York to work with all the team of traders to make sure we're ready and able to adjust to all the new information of every single draft pick affecting this sports stock market, because we just launched last fall, so this time last year we weren't even live just yet. So it's an exciting time.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, just to see how much you guys have grown
Hmm.
from that first year. Like, I mean, like y'all were a partner of ours over at AFC East Roundtable, and just seeing your growth so far is absolutely crazy. War Room, though. So,
Really.
so I'm assuming like nice recliners and like shit like that or whatever.
Well,
Like
I mean, we
snacks
got
and
nice
beer and
chairs,
laptop.
but
Okay,
more like TVs like everywhere in every direction, and we're all like yelling at each other, and
I got
nah, just yeah, should be fun.
man. Well, I mean, I might like need to do some brown nosing, so I would love to make a trip up to New York for that. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we'll see what's going on. So Travis, I mean, honestly, like from a Bills fan's perspective, like
Yeah.
we have grown used to Bean and Sean McDermott. And I mean, really outside of us trading up for Josh Allen that one year, the
Hmm.
Bills are very, very stingy when it comes to their overall draft picks. And a lot of the times they trade down or they stay put. But rumors have been running rampant the past couple of days that the Buffalo Bills are apparently aggressively looking to move up in the draft. From an outsider looking in, and granted on some of the holes that you see, who would you see as a reasonable option, or who are you guessing that is on the Bills draft board that's making them want to get rid of some of those assets and skip up a couple of places to grab their guy?
Man, if they're trading up, I mean, there are a few different directions you could go, right? You could go with, trying to get an offensive lineman, although the left side seems to be okay, I think. But I mean, you could try to patch up the right guard position with Osiris Torrance, but he's been dropping. But if you want to
Why?
get I'm not really sure. I'm up to my neck in mock draft data like every single day,
Yeah.
and I've just seen Osiris Torrance drop a little bit. He's making it to round 2 a little bit here and there, and in some mock drafts. And so I'm not sure. Maybe we're just overthinking it with him, because he's an absolute mauler out of Florida, and he's used to blocking for a mobile quarterback and Anthony Richardson there,
Yeah.
and he's a fantastic ad in the run game, and they want to get better there, I think, to help out Josh Allen, and maybe keep him upright as well. But if they're thinking trade up, it might not be an Osiris Torrance, unless they're hearing around the league that he's going to go much earlier than recent mock draft trends are saying. Or I could see them trading up to get like their guy in terms of offensive tackle if they want to. Because there's like 3 in this class that are going mid round 1 consistently, from whether it's Broderick Jones or Pete Skoronski. Paris Johnson Jr. Darnell Wright is all over the place in the first round, and he's got massive size. So maybe they like him best. But if they're, thinking, hey, we have to trade out, there's no way our guy gets to us. They might be trying to get up and take Bijan Robinson, which would that would
Which is
be
wild. Yeah, which is
yeah.
absolutely wild. I have been beating the table on that, and I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
know that like my fan base specifically rips me apart because last year I was on the Brees Hall train. Like I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
listen,
yeah.
as soon as when he falls to us, we better take him. And a lot of people hate drafting a running back in
Mm-hmm.
that first round. I
Yeah.
mean, I do
Well,
know
why
that
is that? Like, do
I have
they
no
like,
idea.
but do they? So, I mean, I get it from a cap perspective, especially like inside like the top 5, 10 picks. Like, if you're, drafting a running back, it immediately slots in as one of your most expensive positions in terms of like where that, how you pay that position compared to the rest of the league. Like, he's probably, if he goes top 10, he's immediately like a franchise tag level expensive guy for most of his rookie
Yeah,
contract in terms of guaranteed money, especially. But the back end of round one, like that starts to get really palatable. And if they don't have to trade up very far to get a prospect that many people believe is on par with like a Saquon Barkley or
yeah,
or Ezekiel Elliott, early career Ezekiel Elliott, that kind of prospect, or Jonathan Taylor or something like that,
yeah,
then man, go for it. Especially if you think you're so close, you're one piece away on offense from taking the next step.
yeah. No, I mean, you and I definitely agree on that aspect. I mean, I do know that we ended up getting up. So with Damian Harris, he's now on. And so our roster, as far as running backs are concerned,
Yeah.
yeah, like he's a power guy, but I can't remember the last time he's played a full season. I
Hmm.
mean, there's just this giant debate of like, no, we need to go on ahead and we need to invest in this offensive line, and then our running backs are just going to automatically improve and be top 5. When you're talking about a guy like Bijan Robinson, I feel like we'd be dumb if he fell to us and we didn't take
Yeah,
the pick.
and yeah, especially late round one, because James Cook is fine. Like he's good in his role. He's an undersized running back that is a nice 1B to your actual feature back, of which you guys don't have, and they've been trying to do it. In mid round picks, and I'm sure that's just frustrating. Brandon Bean's been there since 2017, and he
Yep.
got the quarterback figured out. Brian Dable fixed him,
Yeah.
and then left town. But wide receiver seems to be okay. I think you could add probably one more playmaker there for sure. Maybe they
Yeah.
go that direction too. But man, if you want an absolutely elite player at the position, and then have the change of pace that is James Cook, man, that's fun because Naheem Hines is. I mean, it's like you already have like a worse version of Cook and Hines there at this point, at this stage in his career. And was he like what, on a one year deal or something like that? Funky left. I don't even know.
He's
So
yeah, he's basically a rental at this point, man.
he
And
might
I
be
mean,
just
he's a
gone. Like
glorified
they
receiver.
might, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So man, invest in a player that is the best in the draft at his position. That would be my argument for pro trading up to get Bijan.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like he's definitely been on the radar for some Bills fans. A lot are like still married into the whole wide receiver, like in the first round. Like me personally, I like never really thought that our receiving room was the issue last year. I just thought that it was completely one dimensional. It was just with Ken Dorsey literally just calling a Hail Mary like 3 plays in a row in the playoffs, for example, right? Like he would
Yeah,
just completely abandon the run game. And I don't think he did it just for shits and giggles. I think it was because he just didn't have the confidence in who was back there. But um, going back into the receiving side of things,
yeah.
would you say that this draft class is deep enough where we could probably still get somebody pretty damn solid that could be a day one contributor, day 2, and day 3? Or is there somebody in the first that, say that you were a Bills fan and you were in the Bills front office, that you would hop on immediately? I've heard Zay Flowers. I heard his name is Jackson Smith out of Ohio State.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts right there? Can we afford to be conservative in that realm? Or, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it might be that Bijan's out of reach because he goes way too early and the trade up would be too expensive. And if that's the case, I mean, getting a Gibbs kind of feels like you already have a player of that type in Cook, so it might not make sense to go running back at that point. So you pivot to wide receiver. Let's say Jackson Smith and Jigba's gone because he seems to be the consensus wide receiver 1 at this point, and is probably going to be off the board before pick 15
yeah,
as of today. But beyond that, like maybe they just like have a guy beyond him that they're thinking, man, this wide receiver is it. And in terms of buzz, like that name has been Zay Flowers here recently, because he's just rising and rising and rising. People comparing him to Antonio Brown. And in terms of like play style and like the similarities, like just remove how ridiculous it is to compare to somebody to Antonio Brown, because it's tough to really say he's going to be that
I hate
good. But
comparisons. I hate
yeah,
comparisons.
just it's rough. But like the play style, I get it. And somebody who has almost no questions except for maybe his size, because he led the ACC in the last 2 years, or 3 years rather, and receiving touchdowns despite having horrible, inconsistent quarterback play. It's some of the worst. I mean, Boston College is not known for having their stud core quarterbacks. In fact, one of the quarterbacks' names that he was stuck with at times, his last name was Grossell. So literally gross quarterback play that he had to put up
Yeah.
with. So I like him. He's rising. That could be the name that they're thinking, hey, everyone, the hype train's building. We just have to go get our guy.
Got it. Got it. Are there any like second, third round talents that like you could see like being
Right.
like a sleeper that could have a lot of like potential and for the build?
Hey, yeah, if they want more go balls, Trey Palmer at the end of round 3 would be fun, I guess, because
Okay.
he was the fastest wide receiver in the NFL draft. And a lot of times those guys that have that speed do go day 2. Almost never you see the fastest guy at the combine at the position sneak out of day 2. So that could be fun. But that's kind of redundant to what they already do with Gabe Davis at times. So maybe they want more of a technician. There are a couple routes you could go that way. They could go with Josh Downs, who he's almost like a freestyler the way he runs routes, and so he
Yeah.
just creates space. And even when he doesn't, he's a contested catch artist, one of the highest success rates in contested situations, despite him being an incredibly undersized wide receiver. So I don't know when they take him. Maybe they trade up to get him as well, or he continues to drop. That would be another target they could make. But if they want, that big bodied X, I know a lot of people. Prime favorite right now is Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee. Kind of a weird scheme that he played in, but he can win at the catch point, just giving Josh Allen another trustworthy guy who can win, even if the ball isn't perfectly thrown. So there are plenty of guys to target that would be role players, but nobody that's gonna push Stephon Diggs for the wide
Oh,
receiver
yeah.
one role or anything like that. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I just think the entire NFL world is just starting to get spoiled when you see teams like the say the Bengals, for example, where like I'm like they like basically have like 2 wide receiver ones like lined up
yeah,
on both sides. I
yeah,
mean, it's really
getting
just
spoiled.
yeah, yeah, I know, man. It's crazy. I know that all of us, especially speaking from a Bills fan, like we just want to get more and more weapons for Josh Allen, but we come from a defensive minded head coach. Sean McDermott
Mhm.
is going to start calling plays this year on the defense. So, say that I was a gambling man, like an absolute gambling man, he's more than likely going to go defense.
Yeah.
And the biggest exit from us this offseason was Edmonds going over to Chicago. So
Mhm.
we essentially have a pretty big hole that I'm anticipating is going to be on top of their priorities. So I wanted to ask you specifically about this one player out of Iowa, Jack Campbell. What have
Mhm.
you been seeing out of him? Is he the sort of player that you think would be able to fill in Edmund's shoes? Or do you still think we have a few more years of progression for him for us not to notice a massive hole right in that area of the field next year?
No, I think he's become my linebacker one. He's in this class. It's not a great off-ball linebacker class. I like Trenton Simpson. He had recruiting pedigree out of Clemson, and he's like that perfect 230, very versatile cover backer today. Drew Sanders, he was at Alabama, transferred. He's probably better utilized off the edge. He's kind of like a tweener where he could play off ball or he could be an edge rusher guy. A few other guys that could be in the mix as the linebacker one, but Jack Campbell out of Iowa, back-to-back seasons of 125 plus tackles. He's a massive human being. He's like 6'4", 6'5" almost. I
That's
think
good.
at 250 pounds, just a monstrous guy who you normally would see as like an edge rusher, but he has decent cover skills and 4.65 speed in terms of straight line. So, and it was one of the highest graded cover backers, even despite that size, according to PFF and multiple other charting services. So, yeah, it seems to me like he is the linebacker one in this class that does it all. So I think he's a plug and play day one starter, and so maybe they're hearing, a guy like him is rising up boards and they want to trade up. But I think he's more of a consensus day two guy, so maybe they figure out a way to get him on the roster day two. But he's a fantastic player that does just about everything well. Linebacker one in the class.
It's gonna be wild, man. It's really gonna be wild. Like, I mean, like those are like the three like main targets in which that I think the majority of Bills fans are looking for us to fill, especially in those first couple of days. And I
Yeah,
mean, listen, man, we really appreciate you coming on. I do know that, especially me being from up north, and then the majority of the fans from Buffalo, us being up north,
yeah.
like college football hasn't necessarily been something that was like entwined within our DNA. So this is when we first start paying attention, like to college players, is when they're going into the NFL draft. So this
Yeah.
was wildly, wildly helpful.
Well, glad to be here. Talk it through. I know. I live like right on the belt buckle of college football hype land in Nashville, Tennessee. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm all about it, and so I follow it year round, and got a lot of work to be done even after the NFL draft because I've got to get a few hundred more college football players on the market here soon. Get them all IPO'd and up there so people can trade them. And so, getting the gear plus ahead of time on some of these guys. Like, in fact, it's funny. We're going to get Arch Manning, believe it or not, on the app here
Already?
soon. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know it's weird. Like, he's going to be a freshman this year, man. It's crazy that we're already here, but he's a 5-star kid. So it's even, true freshmen we're going to have on the app here soon to be traded on the Mojo Sports stock market, man. It's going to be fun.
That's wild, man. Like, I mean, I know that there's probably some surprises. Like, I mean, like we pushed Mojo heavy last year, and like we're gonna do the
Mhm.
exact same thing this year over in the AFC's roundtable. Is there
Yeah.
anything that we should be excited about, or is it all proprietary at this point?
Oh man, well, I can share a ton of stuff that we're working on. Like we launched NFL and college football career bets and stocks, and then NBA. We launched that, and then for March Madness, we had a bunch of like call and put options, like short term, like one game stuff, even at the team level, not just individual players.
I
Which
love
that was a huge success. People love that. So we're going to try to integrate the more short term, derivative type plays with the stock market. Like in all of our sports here soon. So that's going to be a blast. And we got baseball launching, which is like my other passion. So, oh man, it's going to be so much fun. So I will have more sports after that too. So, as we continue growing and scaling and hopefully we'll get to more states here soon. Because right now you have to be
Yeah,
alive in New
y'all are in
Jersey to
Jersey,
play.
right? Still just in
Yeah, but
Jersey?
we are, yeah,
Okay.
but we're really close to adding some states. So hopefully before the end of this year, we can get that rolling and eventually just be national. So we're available everywhere. But it's
That's
been a lot
awesome.
of fun to see it grow and just do it full time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, guys, listen, I always encourage that you still download this app because it's absolutely awesome just to see how your favorite players like so can skyrocket after a great game and absolutely
Yeah.
plummet. I know that my co-host TD Finstock, he absolutely loves when Josh Allen has a bad game and he just leaves like his stock portfolio up there the entire time, just putting it in my face. Great app. Highly, highly recommend that you guys download it and check it out because it will be in a state by you, hopefully very, very soon. And might as well just get used to it. Um, where can they find you, man? Like YouTube?
Sure. You can find me at FF Travis M on Twitter. And I don't do much in the content game anymore because I'm working on the market. But anytime we do have a big player release, you can find, a blog piece or something like that at mojo.com. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into this. Did the whole side hustle thing for like 8 years and built some really nerdy modeling and that predicted draft capital. And that was apparently prepping for this job. So,
That's great,
um,
man. It's
yeah.
funny, man. It's funny how these careers, just sort of they boil out from a side hustle. It's
Oh,
incredible.
yeah, it's wild, but
Yeah,
just thankful.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, hey, man, listen, I definitely appreciate you coming on and sort of educating some Bills fans. We will see you Wednesday night as well. I know that you're coming on the AFC's roundtable. It's either this Wednesday or the next Wednesday. I forgot, but I know you'll be there. So
Hey, man.
super, super excited to hear like how you're just going to be putting the doom and gloom on the Dolphins, Patriots, and the Jets because they've been getting way too confident on my end.
Yeah, well, they've had to get used to the Bills actually kinda running things, so, we'll
I,
see if they can change that, but
I know, man. I know. All right, bro. I really appreciate you coming on, and
thanks
we'll
for your
see you
time.
Wednesday. Yeah, man.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely.